This is a Wild Games Production podcast.
You remember.
Roll your stealth roll?
Game books, pencils, pizza, cheese puffs, and a hell of a lot of dice.
And the Dragon Ball Cup.
Roll for Initiative. This is the Roll for Initiative podcast, where 1E is the place to be.
This is the Roll for Initiative podcast, volume number 6, issue 192. I am Dean Vince, sitting alongside Matt.
Hello, everyone.
Nick.
Hello, everybody.
And Crispy.
How's it?
This is nothing. How's it? That's how you start, Crispy?
How's it?
How's it?
How's it?
Is that like a Las Vegas thing, or
No, it's I think Australian, actually.
is it?
Yeah.
Crikey.
You didn't learn that on Friday night Magic nights or something? Or?
I did, yeah. I played against an Australian guy.
Right.
We
Okay.
apologize to our Australian listeners.
Great. Another issue for HR to hit us up about.
Great.
Yeah. So anyway, what's been going on with you, Crispy? Because no, actually, Nick, Matt wasn't here last week, so Matt, you have to explain your absence.
Well,
Explain yourself.
I
Quickly.
spent last weekend under a car, reattaching the muffler to my wife's car because she decided it'd be a great idea when driving home from work on a rainy night, run over a tree that fell in the road. So yeah, her
I don't
entire
think she decided that.
yeah. And her car failed her save, and the muffler decided to drop entirely. So the only thing that was holding it onto
The car
said car
failed to
was the attachment from the engine to the exhaust system. So yeah, spent the day reattaching that. So yeah, that's pretty much been the extent of it. And as for gaming wise, it's been kind of a dead period for me. I will be going to a arcade expo next weekend with a bunch of old school arcade games, but yeah, again, not tabletop, so I've been kind of deprived. And that's what's been on with me.
Aw, poor baby.
Yeah.
And Crispy, you just got back from a nice long hurrah weekend with one of your friends.
yeah. Tim, co-host of Critical Wits, is moving to Portland, so he's moving out of the state to the Pacific Northwest. So we kind of spent a lot of the weekend, hanging out and doing some things. Last night we just played old video games the whole time, and then Friday we did some stuff, and I managed to make it out to Magic, which was a good time. I also, if anyone on the West Coast is going, if you're a Magic player, if you're going to GP Vegas, I'm going to be there as well. So hopefully we'll get some reps in.
Awesome. So if you'd like to meet the great Crispy / Trask, the player, go ahead and say hello to him.
Are you playing in the main event or just side events?
I'm playing in the modern main event.
Oh, maybe you'll get
Yeah.
a feature match, at which point you have to do it in Trask voice.
Well,
Yes.
They don't really mic you up on those feature matches anymore.
Well, if they do
Aw.
a deck tech. If you get...
Yeah, I guess I could, but
Yes.
I'm just playing Green White Elves,
Oh,
so
okay. Yeah, not a lot.
it's
to
a
deck
pretty
tech.
established deck.
Yeah.
I can't turn on ESPN Ocho and see, and Crispy flips over the deck and taps it twice. Oh my God, that's a miracle move that Crispy just pulled off.
I've been watching a lot of old Pro Tour coverage from the 90s, and they used to mic up the players so you could hear
Yeah.
them banter back and forth. Pro Tour stuff, they don't do that anymore. It's all commentators.
Right.
I think it's a worse choice to do it that way.
Yeah, there was some, especially if you find some of the old ones, the really old stuff. Some of the stuff going on was insane with the. Oh God, there was one with Mike Long where he was like the biggest heel in the world of Magic the Gathering because he would rules lawyer and kind of quasi cheat.
Yeah, no, Mike Long is a character.
Yeah.
I guess he does investment now. You guys remember on YouTube a few months ago when there was that Ty Lopez where he's just here in my garage
Yes.
looking at this new Lambo, but you know what's more important than fast cars? Knowledge. He did Mike Long, I guess, is an investor in California who
That guy?
stuff. Yeah,
That guy who I
That
see
guy-
on YouTube all the time for his little advertisements.
Yeah.
I joked I was going to make people millionaires or at least six figures. That guy?
Yeah, whereas like I was living in my van in a trailer park with $42 in my bank
in a
account.
van down by the river. Yeah.
Yeah, Mike Long did a couple of videos with him, but that guy was a character. I like watching old videos, but yeah, he's definitely like the Jesse Ventura of Magic in the 90s.
Right. Yeah.
The 90s are now old videos now.
Yeah.
That's sad.
It is sad.
It is.
Anyway, Nick, stars?
Yeah. We
We're not going to ask
Dude.
Nick what he did?
No, we don't care what Nick was doing.
No.
well,
Sorry, Nick.
I'm just
I got
kidding,
your back.
just because of that, I'm going to tell you what I've been doing. You know what I've been doing? Nothing.
No.
Moving on. Well, yeah, really not a whole lot. Kind of the February was kind of a wash for our Star Wars game. Some other stuff came up, but we're going to get back to it in March. We're still going to try to hunt down insane Jar Jar Binks, who has a torpedo sphere. And going through the galaxy because it's our fault.
Is he like actual evil Jar Jar Binks, or is he just like are they Gungans? I think who is
he's
evil?
he's just now nuts because he was in captivity for X amount of years, and when he was in captivity on Kessel, he went insane, and it's our fault that he's loose. We're really sorry.
Yeah, he's like, Misa will show them all. Misa will get Misa revenge.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Now we owe Disney a trademark now. Thanks, Crispy.
Oh, well, what are you gonna do?
I think it's transformative enough content that we won't get hit with any kind of copyright.
Yeah.
I'm sure HR will say something.
I hope not. On the other campaign, though, like the Castle Greyhawk one, the last one we did was, I think it was, back in January. The group learned that in Cobalt Society, if you caused a problem and it's your fault, you're automatically the chief of that tribe. So,
Okay.
so, Cobalt's not exactly the sharpest tools in the shed, but that's just how they work. That's Cobalt Society. Oh, his fault? Oh, him, chief. So, other than that, that's pretty much it been going on. But
Cool.
starred reviews. You did ask about that,
Yes, sir.
and we do have a new starred review. And just to remind everybody, you can go to iTunes and look up Roll for Initiative in the store. Track us down from there. Not only can you give us starred reviews, but you can look up previous shows and listen to them off of iTunes. But here we have a new one from Dendrobium. I believe I hope I pronounce his name right. And he says nostalgia, 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 and give us 5 stars. And he says, when I started gaming, old school was just gaming. This podcast does a great job reminding me of the great old days when I had time to game every weekend or 3 times a week in college. The hosts are imaginative and creative. Thanks. Well, you're welcome. So hopefully we get you maybe gaming again if you haven't started up. So thanks for the review, and keep them coming, folks.
Yes, the more you put up there, the more Nick will read in different and various voices and try to invent new ones along the way.
Yes, I just used my real voice in this one. So,
That was Blackstone's voice.
yeah, sure.
Wait, I thought Blackstone. Nick, are you secretly Blackstone?
No. Impossible.
Yeah,
I've never seen the two of you at the same place at the same time, so
Well,
I'm a little skeptical.
some people say that about Satan and Santa, too. Yeah. Both wear red and black, but never seen together. Names
No, I'm
all
pretty
spelled the
sure.
same.
I'm pretty sure there was a movie I saw on MST3K where Satan was defeated by Santa.
No, I
Yes,
think it was Santa
you're
Claus
right.
versus the Martians, maybe, or
No, there was another one. It was a Mexican movie with Santa
oh,
trying to defeat Satan. Oh my gosh. Now that you bring it up, Crispy, if I may bring this up to everybody.
So MST3K coming back March 14th on Netflix.
oh, stole his thunder.
No, you didn't, because it's April 14th, you dork.
Is it April?
Yeah,
They originally announced it as March, but they moved it up.
Ah,
April 14th. Oh, yeah. Mark it on your calendars, people.
Aren't you were a backer, right, Nick?
Yes, I was. I was a backer on the Kickstarter campaign, which was hilarious when they did the live podcast of the Kickstarter show with Pat and Oswald reading random tweets.
Didn't you get any? Like, I thought you guys were getting shows ahead of time because you were backers.
Yes, yeah, I got some of the part of the where how much you contributed.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things you got were some older unreleased MST3K episodes from like their KTMA days back in the late 80s. Got a couple of T-shirts right now. I'm going to be getting my poster with it signed by everybody on the cast and crew.
Even Joel?
Even Sleepy-Eyed Joel.
I wonder if they got Mike to sign it too.
I don't know. I think it's mostly from the new cast and crew.
Did they?
I do know that Mike, Nelson, and the rest of the original cast, they are more than welcome to come on to the new show. Joel's said that several times that, you guys want to come on and, collaborate on some things, come on as guests or whatever, by all means do so. So, and from what I understand, that's pretty much an open invitation to him. So I know Rift Tracks has been doing great. So I don't think Mike's going to really ever abandon that entirely. So
did they get Trace to do anything at all, or is he still out on the out?
Yeah, I kind of get the idea he's, if anything, at least on the fence about it. Him and Frank Conniff. Mm-hmm. But who knows? Things might change. I hope so. So, but I'm really excited about it. I mean, you got a lot of good people, I think, that are coming on cast and writers that are going to be coming on. Like, what's his name? Who did the show Community? He was one of the writers for it.
Dan Harmon.
Dan Harmon, thank you. For another funny show, Harmon Quest, if you haven't watched it yet.
Mm-hmm.
But Dan Harmon also did Rick and Morty. You got one of the former writers from Seinfeld. Jerry Seinfeld might be on the show as a guest. Neil Patrick Harris might be coming on. Mark Hamill too. They all expressed interest coming on as special guests.
The show just went up in level because NPH is on. Man.
Yeah, that and Mark Hamill. I mean, come on.
I don't care about Mark Hamill. NPH is the man.
Neil Patrick Harris?
Yes, he's the man.
He likes Heineken, though.
A lot.
I think he likes Heineken because Heineken pays him to like Heineken.
Oh, is that how it works? Okay. Anyway, MST3K, April 14th on Netflix, folks. Put it in your calendars. And hopefully, after the first season, we'll see what happens, because the whole first season was, crowdfunding. And we'll see after that. Netflix will pick up for another season and pay for it. We'll see.
Are they considering this season 1 or 11? Because I have it written down as 11 on all the apps that I'm.
Yeah, it's season 11. It's technically a continuation, but you got a new guy up there with Crow and Tom Servo.
Yeah, Jonah Ray.
Jonah Ray,
very, very funny. Yeah. Baron Vaughn, who I think is playing Crow. No, Baron Vaughn's playing Tom Servo. Also hilarious. And I don't remember who's playing Crow, but they're all like really fantastic new comedians.
And the new mad scientist, Kinga Forrester, Dr. Clayton Forrester's daughter,
as played by everyone's favorite internet lady,
Felicia Day.
I wouldn't say everybody's, but.
And Patton Oswalt as the son of TV Frank, Stevie's Frank.
Yeah.
Did they ever give a premise how they got the new guy up there and how Mike disappeared?
No, we don't know anything about that yet.
All right.
Still kind of a mystery, which I kind of like. So we'll soon find out.
All right. Well, we'll be back after this for our first segment.
If AD&D is number one, have we got a podcast for you? On the Roll for Initiative podcast, DMs Vince, Nick, and Matt.
Hello, everybody.
And DM Matt.
Hello, everyone.
Check out all things related to the game that Gary built.
This is basically the module trying to get you to fight things when you shouldn't.
Yeah.
They basically taunt you.
They're being playful. Yeah. They're being playful. Yeah.
They feature old and new modules, supplements, musings on rules, advice on DMing a game, and occasionally feature new writers and classic creators of all things 1E.
And think of it this way. Number appearing, 2 to 12. 12 demigods hanging out together?
Yes, but the Green Man has nothing underneath him as a classification. Zero.
No.
Nothing.
No.
Just he's God of growth and abundance. We don't need to put down any other classification at all. We'll just give it to the Mudman.
That's the Roll for Initiative podcast. You can find it on iTunes or at rfipodcast.com.
Typical. Of all the evil creatures in the world, I'd like to find one with table manners.
And what are you kidding me? I spent years cultivating the worst table manners on the planet.
Table manners.
All right, folks. We're going to get into table manners here, and we're going to review a book that we've kind of missed. We missed on our journey here on RFI. Surprisingly enough, the Fiend Folio. So there's some. I don't know. I don't know if it's nearly as divided as some people are as about Unearthed Arcana, but there's some strong feelings about this book. I kind of get through gamers throughout the years. I personally like the book. I think it's interesting.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's not, there are some kind of weird and odd things about it, but I think that's what kind of makes it fun, because it is weird, a little odd. So
I think most people hate it because of the weirdness of the monsters.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of like a childish monster.
Yeah, there was some people that kind of, I guess, looked at it that way as somewhat childish, not nearly as serious as it's supposed to be, but there's some seriously, pretty,
Serious
if
stuff.
I could say, badass monsters in here,
We'll have to bleep.
I'm sorry.
Nicholas. For me, I think this is my favorite monster book ever written. It used to not be, and actually, it's RFI that turned me onto it. Like, I've owned a copy of the Fiend Folio forever, and I just kind of wrote it off for a little bit. I was like, yeah, this is weird. Like, I guess the Gith Yankee are pretty cool.
Yeah.
But just listening to you guys talk over episodes and episodes, it made me revisit and was like, oh no, this is great. This is prog rock, the monster book.
Pretty much, because who gave us prog rock, but the English, but the British.
The one thing I like when we always reference this book is when we reference the crypt thing. Crispy jumps to his Skeletor voice.
I have a list that I wrote as I was prepping for the show of all of my favorite monsters, and next to the crypt thing, I just wrote yeah.
Could we get a picture of that so we could post it with the show notes?
That'd be awesome.
So people could see that.
Yes, I'll text it to you.
Yes, please.
All right. Well, to kind of give the history on this book, The Fiend Folio, it came out in 1981, but it was originally supposed to come out, I think, sometime in 1979. So it was originally intended to be the monster manual too. But there was some, I guess you want to call it, dispute between what was going on with who was producing the Fiend Folio and with TSR in the United States. Don Turnbull, who was basically the editor of the book, he was he was over there in the UK, and the majority of these monsters were out of the Fiend Factory that was in the publication White Dwarf, who everybody knows was part of Games Workshop. There was a Game Workshop publication. But Games Workshop had a very close working relationship with TSR. TSR set up, I believe it was sometime in the late 80s, 77, 78, might have been even earlier than that. Games Workshop had distribution rights in the UK for TSR products, namely D&D and AD&D, right? So they thought to build up an even better relationship was to let's make the next monster manual for AD&D. And in fact, coming into some of the research on this, guys, I did not know this, but one of the things that they were working on along with the Fiend Folio is there was going to be a merger. They were trying to get a merger, or at least Gary said in an interview, to get a merger between TSR and Games Workshop. I had no idea that was going on. That kind of blew my mind. And Gary, from what I've read in this interview, and I will post the link here on this interview with Gary Gygax in our notes. how he was pushing really hard to try to get this merger between TSR Hobbies and Games Workshop going. Well, there was some sort of, it's with all the things that were going on in the early 80s, kind of nixed that idea. Apparently the Blooms were not on board with that at all to try to do the merger. Reasons unknown. Yeah. Well, it just seemed like anything that Gary wanted to do, it seemed like the Bloom brothers like vetoed it almost every time. It was like, if you've seen the recent kind of autobiographical movie, The Founder, about Ray Kroc and McDonald's and him and the McDonald's brothers, it was kind of like that. Ray Kroc was trying to get all this stuff done, but the McDonald's brothers were just vetoing it. But a similar thing was going on here. So that was putting some bad blood going into the whole relationship between Gary and I guess Don Turnbull, and the Fiend Folio kind of got caught up in this whole mess. So instead of the merger, TSR said, okay, why don't we just make our own division? So TSR UK Limited came up in 1980, and Don Turnbull became if I remember correctly, Don Turnbull in TSR UK was the managing director there at TSR UK for a time.
Yeah.
And with all this stuff going on with the potential merger, TSR UK starting up, delays ended up happening with the Fiend Folio tome. And that's why it was delayed for approximately 2 years. So that's kind of the background on it. And I guess even some of the stuff that they felt like was lacking in the book. They took a lot of the module monsters that were previously published, like the Kuo Toa, the Drow, and they drew them in here as well. And then hence you got the Fiend Folio tome. And that's a little bit of the history about it. But I had no idea that Games Workshops and TSR Hobbies were at one time trying to merge. Imagine if that actually happened, how things would have changed, you know? Just kind of interesting if you think about it, a little bit of a what if. Well, would have not had any Warhammer Fantasy roleplay.
Well, they probably all that material would have went all channeled into Advanced Dungeons and Dragons at the time.
Yeah, what would have happened with like Warhammer 40K? Would that ever come about? We'll never know.
Probably not. I mean, because at that point, because at the time TSR would be more focused on their role-playing games, and you might have got some board games. I mean, we did get like Hero Quest, which is basically Warhammer Quest, and some other things along those lines. But as for the big giant tactical miniatures game, nah, I don't see it.
Yeah, I just think it would have really changed the whole tone of the industry if both those companies would have merged. Now, when the book came out, there was, not too long after it was released, a review of it in Dragon Magazine, issue number 55. And I think some of you guys on the show had looked it up.
Yeah.
There was a review done by Ed Greenwood. Ed did not like the book in no uncertain terms.
What a surprise.
Just put it like, for example, I'll give out of here, what do you say? For example, there are many incomplete and inadequate monster entries. Why are the languages of the Dark Creeper and the Babbler incomprehensible? Many weird creatures in the monster manual have languages usable by other creatures through study of magic. DM should be told why these two are special. And phrases like mysteries so far unexplained are not good enough. In an official rulebook, complete listing should be required. And so on and so on. Like, he really lambasted this book.
I think that's antithetical to like the concept of D&D, where your adventurers going into lost ruins where no one knows what's inside in search of treasure.
Right.
Well,
Unexplained things have to be a part of the world because then you get to make up the explanation.
Right.
not in
And
Ed
that makes your
Greenwood's
game
world.
special.
He's the type of guy that will actually specify the type of stitch pattern on a middle commoner's robe.
Right.
So he's into the hyper detail. And
Yeah, he's really into detail as
and everything in the
really-
world making
Right.
sense, it fitting with each other ecology wise, and everything fits perfectly into the world and has a reason. Whereas this book is not meant for one specific universe. It's meant for a multitude of things, and I doubt there's any one universe where all these creatures actually exist. But for Ed Greenwood, for this book to not suck, they would have to all exist in the same world. Probably begins with the letters F and R.
Yeah.
So
Just saying. Well, here's like some of the other things he said in his review, where he talks about some what he thinks are contradictory or not entirely covered in the rules. When he says, and I quote, "First and foremost, contradictions are in attention to existing official AD&D rules. Careful editing should have prevented these mistakes, such as the mention of raised dead fully in the description of the Pernicon and the anti-paladin in the listing for Githyanki. Minor quibbles? Not in the careful international tournament standard. Consistency of the AD&D game is to be maintained. Gary Gygax speaks of this as one of the reasons for creating the game in the first place. And an official AD&D book such as the Fiend Folio tome should contribute to the sought-after consistency."
Oh yeah, I remember that. God, this was really a mar on the Pro Tour competitive D&D scene.
yes,
It still has a strong presence today.
Which, funny, in where I grew up, that didn't really exist because nobody really cared. Everybody had their own homebrew version of AD&D. They always tweaked it out.
I'm
There
now
was no like.
Yeah, I'm now imagining tournament play D&D, if it was this type of tournament play was going on now, streaming live on Twitch, and you have your parties, like your famous parties of like, oh no, this is like the all-star party. These are great players, and the commentators going, oh, what will they do at this trap?
Now, Slavoski is put himself. He's done a 5-foot shift here in between both goblins. It looks like he's setting up to go for a cleave attack. He's going to have to roll at least a 17 on this to succeed.
No, I think he's going to do
Here comes.
I think he's going to do. He's going to enact one of his feats. I'm not sure which one it is.
Yeah, and I can see
He
them
does
saying,
have access to
I can see them
raid
saying
weapon
things
fight.
like, "Oh my God, do you believe the DM did that? That isn't part of the rule set. What's
Oh my
going on?
God.
Oh
He must be
no,
making things up on his own."
we got to call the judges over. They want a judge's ruling. They're
And
consulting the book.
Slavoski is going for the die roll, and an 18! Oh my God, he's done it!
Oh my
This is
God!
unprecedented in the realm of role playing.
Unbelievable!
Okay, Crispy, settle down.
All right. Ed also goes on in his little tirade, if you want to call it that basically some of the monsters' names grate on the mind's ear, quote unquote.
Oh my. You're gonna have to bleep me here, but
Beep.
never mind. I won't say it.
did
He
you
also
say
said the second large problem found in the folio has to do with two races. There's too many of them. He also hated the Lava Children because he thought that the picture looked like a version of Alfred E. Newman from Mad Magazine.
Yeah, I've never read this article, and I've always thought that.
Well, yeah, true. He didn't
It's like
the
big buff hillbilly Alfred E. Newman.
yeah. He pretty much didn't like the whole thing. He thought some of the illustrations were pretty good. He thought some of the names even were like unimaginative, like Gorilla Bear. Wait a minute, you're quibbling about names that are being too complicated. Now you're being quibbling about names that are not complicated or interesting at all. Pick one.
Some of the art is pretty bad, and some of it's really
Yeah.
good. It's just like every role playing. Some
Right.
things are good, some things are bad.
Right. I mean, and there was a middle of the road kind of review by this fellow by the name of Alan Zolmalt in the same issue, and then there was a rebuttal given by Don Turnbull himself, which I believe Matt or Crispy you said it's like, and Don Turnbull said this in not so many words, but yeah, part of the fun things about the game is that there's some mystery. So yeah, some things are unknown. So what? That's a matter of personal taste, I guess. So yeah, he gave a pretty good rebuttal too. So if you can track down the issue number 55, I highly recommend and read the all 3 reviews on the Fiend Folio, and it kind of reflects how most people today feel about it. You know, yeah. Some people like really hate it. Some people are in the middle of the road about it. Some people really like it. You know, I guess I guess I'm middle of the road to liking it. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I
never thought.
Wait, before Nick, why are you middle road on this?
Well, I mean, some things are really good about it, and some things are just kind of like, really? I mean, I always bring up the flump, for example.
Yeah, well, the flump. I've always liked this book. This has always been my go-to inspiration for the most wackiest creatures in my campaign. And
right. So I guess, let's kind of delve into it then. So I guess, Vince, since you kind of kicked it off there, what are some of the things about the book that you like? Where's, overall?
I would tell you, but I actually dropped the book across the room, so that's
I liked it so much I dropped it.
Yeah, I kind of was like flipping through it and it went boom out of my hand.
The greatness is just too much to hold.
Yes.
It was the power of Gygax and the fact that the Ed Greenwood article made it run away.
Yeah, I would not be. Yeah, I kind of agree.
Well, it is on the page of the Kenyu from across the room here. So.
Oh, Kenku?
I mean Kenku. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Thinking of Oriental.
You're close.
Yeah, close enough.
Yeah.
No, but I think like Crispy was saying, a lot of the creatures in here did become playable races in the later editions.
Right.
Not playable races, but like monsters that are part of like the intellectual property of D&D.
Yeah, they become staples of the game now.
Yeah. Some of them have become playable races too.
Well, the one that everybody brings up because I like them too are the Gith Yankee and the Gith Zerai.
Yeah, they're so cool.
They are like so cool.
Featured monster, yeah.
You know who made up those monsters along with the Slad out of here? Charles Strauss. Charles Strauss, who did the Atrocity Archive books, so that series of books.
Right. Well, what's funny with the Gith, just on the Gith Yankee, the name's actually from The Dying Light by George R.R. Martin.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whoops.
And it's like the Mind Flayer relationship from the world of Pitavs by Larry Niven. So, yes, they own the Gith Yankee, but it's borrowed heavily from 2 other sources of sci-fi.
I guess that's one of the cool things about of this book is I like the weird edge of it. I think that's like what Vince likes about it too. There's like a weird edge to this book, I guess makes it distinctly British in that respect,
Yeah, I mean, I like it because of the demon aspects, all those little different weird demons they have.
Yeah.
It gave me inspiration to make my own stuff up from it. And every time I see the mean lock, I keep thinking of more locks for some.
Mm-hmm. Well, and some of the things like you were saying that became staples of the game, the Arakocra, that became a staple monster.
Yeah, the Death Knight.
Death Knights.
All right, how many of y'all wanted to be a Death Knight when you were a kid playing?
Oh,
I definitely did.
Bullywugs became a staple. Hell, the Bullywugs became part of the D&D cartoon show.
Yeah.
We ran into those a lot.
Right.
The Flind, that became a big thing with gnolls.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then there's Matt's favorite, the Crypt thing.
Yeah.
Come on, Crispy.
Come on.
Do it.
You want to.
I have to get a laugh out.
Here you go.
Crispy does not perform well under pressure, apparently.
No, he does not.
Welcome, adventurers,
to
your nightmare, He-Man, Beast-Man.
You finally had an introduction of the drow that was put in here.
Word drow. Over the years, I wanted to beat people over the head. Drow.
It's drow.
I know. That and Tiefling and Tiefling, I want to beat people over the head with.
Well, the
Tiefling.
Drow actually first appeared in G3, not the Fiend Folio.
Yeah, right, but
I was just about to bring that up.
Only if you had G3 was it really, not everybody had the module.
Right. And really, the Drow didn't become a thing until a certain novel.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
Well, there's another.
Yeah.
And it's great because it's like I believe is this a Jeff D illustration for the Drow?
Tell you in a second.
No, Willingham.
Willingham, okay. But this Drow, it has a very Jeff D quality to it. It does. This is the iconic picture to me. That very, very black skin, not just like a weird purple brown that kind of gone to now. And the all white eyes. There's something about them that makes them extremely monstrous. Yes. Which I love. This is the iconic picture for that.
I love that picture because it also shows how just the evilness of the race that they are, the Drow, and I guess also the ties they have with spiders. Because if you look at him, he's kind of lanky, kind of gangly.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of, I think that's kind of reflected in the artwork. What else became the Kuo-toa? Became
Darklings, which I think that's what they're called now. What is the actual name in this book here? The Dark Creeper, yeah, and the Dark Adepts. Those are you'll see them. They'll be in more like Monster Manual 2 kind of monster, but they're a staple now. I'm trying to think. There's some other things in here that definitely.
I always
the Hook Horror.
The Hook Horror. There you go. There's another one.
Book that never made it to later editions. That perfect to translate over those players that memorize the books, and you throw something new at them.
DM Corey's favorite monster, the Grell.
Yeah,
those are nasty.
Those are nasty. I love the description because I was reading through this today, prepping for the show, and I always figured the Grell are huge. They're 5 feet in diameter.
Mm-hmm.
If I saw that in a game, I would poop myself.
And if anything on that page next to it, that full page picture of the Grell fight with the fighter in its clutches and everything, that whole picture is that's such iconic D&D to me. That just kind of says it all for me there. I love this picture of that. It's just very well done. And if you look really closely, you see another Fiend Folio monster in the corner. Anybody get that? You see that in the corner? In the lower right-hand corner with the big picture of the Grell with the warrior.
Yeah, what is that?
That is a Snyad.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Here. Thank you. Yeah, on page 83, that's a picture of a Snyad. A little Snyad down in the corner. Yeah. I didn't see that till years later. I'm like, I never noticed that. Holy cow. Yeah, but there's a lot of monsters in here that became iconic ones for D&D.
Yeah, the Slad, the Swerfnefblin.
Oh my god, yeah. Or they become DM favorites, like you're saying the Grell. Mm-hmm. One of my favorites, the Son of Caius. Love Son of Caius.
My favorite is this actually does have also my favorite monster, the Carbuncle.
The Carbuncle.
The Carbuncle.
Weird armadillo.
It's a weird armadillo with a gem in its head that can will itself to die.
Yeah.
It's such a weird monster. We talked about it on my show where a Carbuncle shows up and it's got a gem it's worth $5,000. And they're like, oh, I'll steal the gem. And it goes, nah. The Carbuncle goes, and then it dies.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot of the monsters in this book are just kind of set up to just mess with your players, your problem players. The Carbuncle is only there to stir up trouble. Okay.
Or another one that is really made to mess with players, the Disenchanter.
Yeah, or
I could tell you that the crypt thing really pisses off people from later editions.
Yes, it does.
One thing that it's a monster I never think I ever took note of until today, but the gold bug only exists to mess with players. It's the exact same shape as a piece of gold. And pick it up, it disturbs its sleep. It loves to sleep in gold, and then it bites you, and you have to save versus poison or die.
One of the things that Ed Greenwood brought up in his critique of the book was, he didn't like all the monsters that are like the gold bug or the disenchanter, which are specifically made to, mess with the player characters. But
but like the rust monster exists. Why is that
exactly
okay?
Right?
Yeah,
the rust monster. What ecological niche does that really hold?
Yeah, and that is a thing that I thought of with the gold bug, where it's like, why would this possibly adapt to be like that? But it's like, no, this is just to mess with your player who it's like, I'm gonna get every gold piece, and then they waste a bunch of time, just clearing out the caverns. Another one I love is the Aliax. And I just wrote down a quote: "This'll teach Darren to be a jerk." Where it's the spirit of God's vengeance.
Oh, the Aliax. Yes. But there's a lot of monsters in here that have become favorites of DMs over the year for one reason or another. One that's really weird, that besides all the other weird ones in the book, is the Nilbog. The Nilbog is that monster which is really made to mess with the player characters, because this is a creature that looks like every other goblin in the world, but if you attack it, it gets healed. And for some reason, unexplicable reason, player characters just do random things when Nilbogs are around. I just love this creature. Have I ever used it? No, I don't know if I ever would, but it's just weird, interesting, and I mean, like some of the, I guess, just the overall, I thought, uniqueness of the book. It's very, very creative. I thought.
Yeah,
I still think.
Yeah,
so.
There's a lot of stuff in here that, instead of just being kind of Western, like folklore and mythological creatures, you really you get a lot of like just weird out there monsters that, like the Denzelian, which is just like I guess like a land pearl or a land oyster. It's a very weird. It just looks like a rock. It eats rocks. It doesn't like to eat metal, and it'll pop out some eggs that just look like pebbles. It's like, why does this thing exist? But also, why does it have such a detailed ecological description?
Well, you have to remember, a lot of these first appeared in a magazine, White Dwarf.
Right.
So
in that Fiend Factory section,
right. That's why a lot of it doesn't have cohesion with each other, because they were just magazine articles thrown into a book together with some new creations and a few things stole from some modules to make a book. So I mean, it's not going to have that internal consistency, but that also gives it that different feel and how you can find something you're looking for in this book. And I think that's what makes it so great, because it is that random miscellany, a Fiend Folio, if you would, compared to like your monster manual.
With the Denzelian, though, like a thing that I thought of reading, oh, this is really weird, but that whole bit about them avoiding metal is like, oh, like a clan of dwarves could have a pet Denzelian or a herd of Denzelian that they just take through their minds and they eat out, and they'll avoid any metal deposits, so now they can find their mithril ore or their silver ore.
And you bring
there's something to it.
Right. And it sounds like it's really up to DM to flesh that out, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that's enjoyable about this book. Yes, some things should remain a mystery, and for the DM to design, to create. The guy who created that monster, if you look back in the index of all the people who contributed, his name's Louis Pulsifer. I mean, for all we know, good old Lewis here, this is the only thing he's ever contributed to anything, and this is his claim to fame.
Yeah.
His name is now immortalized in this book, because it gives everybody who contributed.
He also gave us the
Elemental
Ettercap.
Princes of and the Elemental Princes of Evil.
Yeah.
Wait, which cat?
The Ettercap.
Oh, Ettercap. I thought you were talking about the Hoard Cat or Treasure Cat or whatever it is that guards a treasure chest and literally has 9 actual lives.
Oh yes, the guardian demon.
Yeah.
And then another one of my favorite monsters from this, if he made the elemental princes rather, is Ogremok. There's a really good Something Awful series of articles called WTF D&D, and they talk about this book, and they nicknamed him Ogremok, King of the Evil Attackers.
Yes. Yeah, that was Lou's contribution, the Elemental Princes of Evil. But I mean, for all we know, he probably didn't do anything else in the gaming industry. But you know what? His name's in this book now, associated with several monsters in the Fiend Folio. I mean, here's another one. He only goes by the name of Underworld Oracle, and he came up with the Enveloper.
I love the Enveloper.
Yeah, and the Gibberling. But he goes by the name Underworld Oracle in the book. Look it up in the index.
Oh, the Mephit is from this? I must have missed that earlier. That's a staple. The Mephit, Mephit familiar for your evil wizard.
I thought it was pronounced Mephit.
It may be. I mean, it's probably some ancient Hebrew word that, none of us. It hasn't been used since the year 3000 BC.
Sugar.
Oh boy, we here at WGPN do blah 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 blah. Insert HR quote here.
But I'm just trying to figure out why the guy didn't go by his real name and went by Underworld Oracle.
I don't know. Maybe he didn't want his name immortalized because he was ashamed of his D&D.
Well, actually, he has a PhD in military and diplomatic history from Duke. He designed many diplomacy variants. Was an contributing editor to Dragon, White Dwarf, and Space Gamer, and a columnist for Imagine.
How did you find all this?
He has a Wikipedia article.
Shut up! Really?
Yes.
What? That's awesome.
He published what may be the first science fiction and fantasy gaming magazine, Supernova.
What?
He designed, Dragon Rage, Valley of the Four Winds, and Sword and Wizardry in the 80s, so not the retro clone. Britannia, the game, he did that. He created that. He received the Charles S. Roberts Award nomination for Best Pre-World War II Board Game for Britannia.
What?
He taught college-level computing, web development, and game design in North Carolina. And
where is this Wikipedia article you speak of?
I will put it in the chat.
I'm blown away by this.
Yeah. Wow, way to go, Underworld Oracle. You did a lot of stuff.
Go. Holy.
Matt earned his gold pieces this week.
This is Louis Pulsifer. Okay.
Yeah.
So he also went by the moniker of Underworld Oracle?
Let's see here.
Because there's Louis Pulsifer.
Okay.
But there's also a guy by the name of Underworld Oracle.
Matt just got his money taken away.
Yes, I did. I went down the Louis Pulsar rat hole.
You okay, so we still don't know who Underworld Oracle is.
Well, Underworld Oracle was a fanzine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, edited by Lou Nisbet and Phil Alexander.
Oh, so that's the name of a publication. I thought it was like an alias for somebody. That's what he went by. A real weird gamer dude. He's like, you can call me Underworld Oracle.
That just sounds creepy.
Yeah. Well, he's also the guy who probably, every character he makes has to be some multi-class with a frickin' ninja. Not that I have ever seen that before, but just saying.
Ninja is not a good class to it's okay, I guess.
I don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
Just be a rogue, honestly.
What is this rogue you speak of, Chris?
Yes, what is this rogue you speak of?
Thief.
Thank you.
Chris,
But I think just overall, I really enjoy the book. Yeah, there are some things that you kind of like go, huh? But most of it I find just it goes with I always thought of D&D. There's weird and unusual things, and you're creative with it, and it's not all tucked into one nice little package,
Right.
you know.
Right. It's like I cracked this book open far more than, say, the Monster Manual 2.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, by far. Me too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
When I moved off to college and 5th edition come out, and like we found a game that fits for all of our group, and I got rid of a lot of I got rid of all my Pathfinder stuff. I got rid of all my 3.5 stuff. I got rid of all my just every old book basically. And this is the one book that I kept. This and like Swords and Wizardry. I was like, this is all I need. I'm good for now.
From time to time, I've actually, and I might not be the only person who's thought of this, try to design an adventure or at least a dungeon level with just Fiend Folio monsters.
I thought of a campaign where, because the Death Knight originally, like, I was reading this, I don't think this is ever translated over to future editions, but there's only 12 Death Knights.
That's true.
Yeah, and so, like, you could have a whole campaign about, like, the Death Knights have awoken and they're, like, taking over different kingdoms. And then just throughout, you have to, defeat the Death Knights.
That is a really good angle. So, I mean, what else for you, like Vince? You've been kind of quiet. We've been just jibber jabbering along, but what else about the Fiend Folio that you like that really drew you to it as one of your, I guess, a staple book in your game?
It's mostly because of the wackiness of it, the fact that I can take things and borrow from it to add to my own creatures that I create for the wacky game.
Yeah. I totally get along.
I have two copies of this book, Nick. One is a pristine copy with its bright blue coloring, and I also have another copy that's worn to crap, and the cover is now a light blue.
Oh wow! So you use it a lot.
Light blue now as well.
Yeah, I could probably, if I could grab a picture of it to show, it probably wouldn't show. But yeah, it's just you could tell, like, one light ocean blue, and then the other one is just like this bright blue. Brand new,
mine's actually in pretty good shape.
Same thing with my deities and demigod book. One of them is that nice bright blue color, and then the other one's like this purplish color.
Yeah. I remember the first time I found a second copy of the Fiend Folio at like a game store that was in much better condition than mine, and I was like, "Wow, I didn't know this book was supposed to be that blue."
Yeah. Well, I remember I have to say my original copy that I bought years ago, it was stolen. And then I had to buy it years later. Yeah, I had an original copy of Fiend Folio and it was stolen. But you mentioned about the cover, Vince.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about this book is when it was in 1983 when TSR did their revamping of the covers. This is the only one that didn't get revamped. They let it just go out of publication.
Huh.
Yeah.
And this never got the orange spine.
Yeah, but
by then,
I think this
wasn't there association with what would now be White Dwarf over?
That's pretty much what the culmination of it. Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, because
they just said by that time in '83, they're whatever they had collaborations with Games Workshop and White Dwarf was pretty much gone by the wayside. And TSR just, when they did the revamping of the covers, Fiend Folio never got revamped, and whatever they published initially from Random House, the initial run, that was it.
Yeah, because it was also in 1983 that Warhammer Fantasy Battles was created. So that's by then Games Workshop was a competitor.
By then their relationship was done. I mean, you already had TSR UK was already around for a couple of years at least. So yeah, that was kind of like the swan song, if you will, for Fiend Folio, the flump song.
So this only had one printing? Am I understanding that?
As far
correct?
as I know, yes.
Okay.
There was no other reprintings.
I think this book suffers from the same, like, air quote problem as Unearthed Arcana, where they just printed it to hell, and you can still find copies of this for super cheap. Like,
I mean, they
$10.
did print a boatload of these, but they only had, as far as I know, they only had one print run. but in that print run, they did a lot of them. But they didn't suffer the thing with Unearthed Arcanas, depending on when you got your copy, how long it held up.
Mm-hmm. Mine still holds up.
Yeah, my Fiend Folio actually is pretty good shape.
Yep.
So, other than that, yeah, it's the only one that didn't get the orange binding, the orange spine redo.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, by that time, I would guess by 1985, if not sooner, the Fiend Folio, you probably didn't see it like on shelves anymore as far as being sold. And if it was, it was probably used copies, Everything that was out there was already out there. So a little bit of the back history on that too, as far as, not getting the cover. So
are we rating this book?
Oh gosh, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
We'll start off with the ratings, the number of swords.
5 swords.
5 swords as well from me.
Yeah.
5 swords from me. Solid 5 swords.
5 swords, absolutely.
Yeah.
All around
in your
5.
face, Ed Greenwood.
Yeah. Ed Greenwood.
If that's your real name.
Why wouldn't it be?
I don't know.
It's actually Ed Bluewood. He had to change it because people, they're like, Bluewood, that doesn't make any sense.
I do recommend everybody, Dragon issue number 55, if they could find that, if they have it in their copies or find a PDF of it, read the reviews on the Fiend Folio. It really gives some insight in the history of the whole book.
And there actually are 2 printings of the Fiend Folio.
Oh, there was?
Yes. The first printing, the ISBN on the spine lower left corner of the back cover has the ISBN as well as 1981 TSR Hobbies Inc. And the designation TM is used to designate trademark owned by TSR Hobbies.
So that's the first print one.
The second one, ISBN and TSR product number on spine and lower corner of back cover. Copyright info dropped.
You know what? Now that you say that, I'm looking at the 2 books side by side. The numbers on the spine are different as far as the formatting.
Yeah. Mine's a first printing of it.
Yeah, mine's a first print run too.
Mine is, this one is. The other one actually is.
I wonder if between the 2 print runs, I wonder if the first print run had the darker kind of blue cover than the second.
Maybe that's why.
That might be it. That might be a distinction.
Yeah.
And that just makes the point of looking at my deities and demigods. One has the old TSR logo, one has the newer TSR logo.
Yeah.
Second one, as opposed to the third TSR trace one that they started using in 2nd edition going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Red. That outline cup TSR that they use.
Hey Vince, I got to ask you. I guess I'll ask each one of your guys, everybody here, if you haven't given it already. What's your one favorite monster out of the Fiend Folio? Your go-to one, Vince.
My go-to one is any of the demons.
Any of the demons. Okay.
Any of the demons is my go-to in this book.
Like the Meso-demon or Nika-demon, those types?
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Crispy?
We know
my
Crispy.
favorite is the Carbuncle, but the one I would probably use more often would be like probably the Crypt Thing or the Eye of Fear and Flame.
Yeah.
Because they're both related. One's the Crypt Keeper and the other one's Skeletor.
Yeah.
What about you, Matt? What's your go-to?
I've always been drawn to the Al Mirjar.
Oh, the Al Mirage.
The unicorn
jackalope
bunny
with a horn.
Yes,
it's
blinking,
basically a jackalope.
yes, it's a jackalope. The blinking unicorn bunny.
Mm-hmm.
And just messing with players with those. Because if you had about 20 of them coming at a party and they're blinking in and out and spearing them with the horn, you get to basically roleplay out Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Yeah,
I would say, everybody likes the gift yanking the gifts awry, but I think my go-to monster, I think I say it was Sons of Caius. I love the idea of these undead that shoot green worms at you and they burrow into you. Plus, there was the name of a late 80s, early 90s metal band. They got their inspiration from the Fiend Folio. They named their band Sons of Caius. Look it up. True story.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the Fiend Folio, guys. Yeah. So I guess
give us an email, rfistaff@gmail.com. Hit us up on facebook.com/rfipodcast and give us your thoughts and your opinions and what your favorite monster is. Tell us that Ed Greenwood's article was justified. Maybe you agree with Ed.
Yeah, maybe you do.
Maybe you just need to go away. Wait, I can't say that.
And if you're going to pick up a copy of this book, make sure you get the first edition Fiend Folio, not the third edition Fiend Folio, because that book sucks.
Yeah, I have that on my shelf. I bought that for like cheap, I think, at a game store.
Oh, yeah. I'm surprised you had to pay money for it, because that book is worthless.
Yeah, I just bought it because,
It had the words Fiend Folio. You're like,
pretty much.
The first one.
Pretty much, yeah, you got me.
You do not condone the words and the actions by Professor Crispy.
I condone them.
HR is going to get it.
I know. What are you going to do?
Anyway, we'll be right back after that.
Are you enjoying the show you're listening to right now? Want to help support the show? Why not head over to the Patreon site, patreon.com/WGP. That's patreon.com/WGP, and help support the network for as little as $1.50 a month. That's right, $1.50 a month goes a long way. Thank you.
Well, that's going to wrap up the show this week, folks. I hope everybody enjoyed their time here with us once again, and we'll be back next time with another review of something we like, and maybe you won't or you will. Who knows? Right. So keep it original, keep it old school. Good night, everybody.
Hey, everybody.
Good night.
See ya.
The Roll for Initiative podcast is a production of Wild Games Productions. You can visit us at rfipodcast.com or contact us on our forums at osrgaming.org or even call us at 570-865-4210. This podcast was produced for entertainment purposes only. All other uses are prohibited. Remember, if your magic missile spell doesn't automatically hit, you're playing the wrong edition. Thanks for listening, and see you next time on Roll for Initiative.